Hey friends, today I'm going to show you how I made Bel Paese cheese using our own sheep milk. And spoiler alert, this cheese gave me some trouble at first. So if you're just getting started with cheese making, you're in good company. I'm not a professional cheesemaker and I don't pretend to be. I'm just a homesteader who decided to stop being afraid of messing up and start turning our sheep's milk into real food for our family. Bel Paese is a creamy, mild Italian cheese made with a thermophilic culture. Fancy word, but it's actually really simple. I'll walk you through the whole process, including what worked for me and what didn't. This is all about learning by doing, mistakes and all, so let's get started making Bel Paese from sheep milk. The first step is to heat your milk to 105 degrees over medium heat, stirring occasionally to prevent the bottom from scorching. Once you reach 105 degrees, go ahead and turn the burner off and add your culture. I used clabber because I love clabber. I love the taste of it. You can also use yogurt or a freeze-dried thermophilic culture. I used 2 tablespoons of clabber per gallon. If you're using yogurt, use the same amount. If you're using a freeze-dried culture, you can use the amount called for on the package or 1/8 teaspoon per gallon of milk. If you're using clabber or yogurt, shake it up first just to break up any clumps and then add it into your milk and stir it in thoroughly. Once your culture is thoroughly mixed, go ahead and add your rennet. I am using single strength liquid animal rennet and I'm using 1/8 teaspoon per gallon. Now I don't dilute my rennet. If you want to, that's fine. You do whatever floats your boat. Honestly, after making this cheese, I think I could have reduced the rennet even more because the curd set up very firm. So if you're feeling adventurous, go ahead and try even less rennet. I've had good success with using just 5 drops per gallon. So go ahead and add your rennet into your milk and stir using an up and down motion for 30 seconds to 1 minute. And then go ahead and use your spoon to stop the motion of the milk, or at least slow it the best you can. And then cover your milk and you are going to let it sit for 30 minutes to set up. 30 minutes has passed. I'm going to go ahead and put my knife in and check for a clean break. You can see here it splits open very clean, very nice. The whey is very clear. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my curds. See, I decided at first to start cutting it with a knife, and then I thought, actually, I'm going to make this easy and use a whisk. So go ahead and insert your whisk, just a straight up and down motion all the way around your pot. And then once you have the vertical cuts done, just put your whisk in at an angle and do your best to get the undercuts. It's okay if it's not perfect. It's practically impossible. So just go ahead and cover it back up and let those curds heal for 10 minutes. Now that you've let the curds heal for 10 minutes, it is time to begin stirring. So I just gently put my arm in and start stirring the curds. I like to go in to the bottom of the pot and bring up any large curds and then split them with my fingers to the right size. You don't have to stir the entire 20 minutes. I'll stir for a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes, and then I'll take a couple minutes off and go do something for a minute and then come back. That's totally up to you. Once about 20 minutes have gone by, you can go ahead and do a squeeze test. And all that is you're going to take a handful of curds into your palm, and then you're going to squeeze your palm tightly shut for a few seconds, maybe 10 seconds. And then you're going to open your palm up and those curds should be well knit together in your fingers, and then you can use your fingers to easily break or pop them apart. And if they don't knit together well, go ahead and stir them for another 5 to 10 minutes and try again. My curds felt done after 20 minutes. They were firm, they were sticking together, but then breaking apart easily. They weren't still squishy inside. So I went ahead and proceeded to the next step. And the next step is to just go ahead and cover your pot and let those curds settle for about 5 minutes. Okay, so now we are going to get the curds into the mold. So what I decided to do was take my cheesecloth and gather up my curds underneath the whey and then put it in the mold versus pouring off the whey and then scooping the curds into the mold. And the reason I did that is because when I have made this cheese in the past, my curds got too cold and they did not knit together well. And so I thought that this method would keep them warmer, and so I wouldn't run into that issue. And I was right. Although this is the first time I'm doing this, and I could have done it a little smoother, but hey, it's all a learning process, right? So basically, you're just putting your cheesecloth in underneath your curds and then pulling up, and take your curds out of the way and put them right into the mold. I had a few cheese curds escape, so once I got the main bunch into the mold, I poured off the whey and then dumped in the remainder of the curds. And then you're just going to let it press under its own weight for about 6 hours or until you're happy with how it looks. Now, if it's not knitting together like you'd hoped, you can go ahead and use light pressure. There's nothing wrong with that. And then you're going to flip it hourly. You can do it less often. However, for the smoothest rind, hourly flips are recommended. This is my first flip here, and you can see that the bottom is starting to knit together, but the top is still pretty open. I'm not too worried about it because I'll flip it and then it'll start to close up, and it still has several hours in the mold, so it should be fine. Okay, so this doesn't technically need to be pressed, but since I got it in there so crooked, how did that happen? I don't know. I am going to lightly press it just to help it even out a little bit. All right, and that's just like maybe 5-10 pounds. The cheese is all knit together, so now it is ready to go into the brine. I'm going to weigh it first so I know how long to brine it. This particular cheese brines for about 3 hours per pound in an 18% salt solution. I'm just going to put a little salt on the exposed side of the cheese, and then halfway through the brining time, I will flip it over and then salt that other side. For the final steps for this cheese, we just need to pull it out of the brine and let it air dry on a mat, or I'm just using a piece of cheesecloth for a day or two until it's dry. Flip it a couple times a day or as you remember. If you're not comfortable leaving it out at room temperature, you can do this in the fridge. And then after it's dry, you can put it in a container and put it in the fridge to age. That's one of the things that is so great about this cheese is you don't have to have a dedicated aging space. It ages in the fridge in just 3 weeks. Flip it every couple days or again as you remember, and then I hope you enjoy it. Well, friends, that's my take on Bel Paese cheese made with our sheep milk. Imperfections, lessons, and all. This cheese challenged me more than I expected, but that's part of the fun, right? I'm learning as I go, and if you're doing the same, I hope this gave you a little inspiration to just go for it. If you give Bel Paese a try, let me know how it goes in the comments below. I'd love to cheer you on or troubleshoot together if something goes sideways. Check the blog for the full written recipe and all my notes. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more sheep milk cheese making, homestead life, and a whole lot of learning by doing. Thanks for being here. Until then, keep stirring, keep flipping, and don't be afraid to mess up just a little.